Hey guys, it's Zoe, and today I'm going to continue my beginner makeup series with a Powders 101 video. I will link down below all the ones I have. I have primers and moisturizers, and then I did one on foundations and face coverages, and then I did one on concealers. So I'll link those all down below so you can get to know more about makeup, my favorite types, what I recommend, how to apply it kind of, and explaining what they do for those of you beginners or who are just starting out with makeup. So now I'm going to be talking about powders, like whether that's a powder foundation or a setting powder or just a normal face powder. So I have two to show you right now. My all-time favorite is the Rimmel Stay Matte Long Lasting Pressed Powder, and that powder literally is the best powder ever, but I ran out of it and I've been using different powders recently, so I do not have it with me, but it's raved about on YouTube. If you have oily skin, I recommend it. It's only like $4. I'll insert a picture of it right here. Control shine, it's pressed so it's not too heavy, and it's very, very light, and it just controls your oil. So basically, like I've said, powder is powder. I mean, it controls oil, it helps shine, it sets your makeup so your makeup does not come off. If I'm wearing foundation and concealer or whatever makeup I'm putting on my face and it's liquid or even cream, if I get sweaty, or even if it's winter time, if gym or during school, and your makeup can like crease into lines or look really weird in your pores and get really, really shiny, especially in your T-zone area, especially if you have oily skin. But even people with dry skin still have to set some parts of their face because they'll notice their makeup slipping off or rubbing off, or it'll be like you'll cover a pimple and then a few hours later it won't be covered anymore because the makeup like came off of that spot if you touch your face, etc. So powders kind of keep it lasting longer. They're not going to make your makeup last all day long, depending on the makeup you use, what primer you use, what powder you use. It's not going to make it flawless looking as soon as you put it on in the morning. It's not going to look like that by the end of the day, but it does make a huge difference. I don't think I could ever do my makeup without setting it with a powder, unless I'm not wearing face makeup, obviously, but I could probably not walk out of the house and never do my powder. No matter how dry my skin is, I need to have a powder. So this one right here is the Maybelline Shine Free powder. Yes, pressed powder in 02 Soft Cameo, and it is just a pressed powder that looks like this. Very inexpensive. They have different skin tone ones, and it comes with one of these little powder puffs or like little powder sponges, and those come in a lot of pressed powders, which are nice if you don't have a lot of makeup brushes, or if you don't like using brushes, or if you're on the go. Like if you put this in your backpack for school or after gym, you can kind of just touch up. I use these to touch up, but I do not like using them for my makeup because since I do have acne and I'm trying to cover it, swiping this on your face kind of defeats the purpose, and it swipes off the coverage you just put on. I do like to pat it because it does give more coverage because you're patting over the areas, but sometimes this not absorbs because it's not liquid, but this picks up more product on the sponge than it does to your face, and a brush does give more of a natural finish, so it's not as powdery looking and it's more, evenly applied. But this is very good for beginners. If your powder doesn't come with a sponge, like my favorite one, the Rimmel one, does not come with a sponge applicator, you can buy like disposable ones, and they have a whole pack you can buy at the drugstore of different brands. So I really like this one. I've been recently trying it. It's very, very lightweight. It doesn't really give any more coverage than I need it to. Some powders are a powder foundation, and there is kind of a difference. You can use whatever you want on your face, whether it covers or not, but a powder foundation is what it sounds like. But like if you can use a powder foundation even if you use a normal foundation if you want really, really good coverage. But if you don't like using liquid or creams, or you don't really need that much coverage, a powder foundation is going to give you some coverage, but it's also not going to look cakey, and it's just going to be powder, so it can't really, do any harm to your face. So powder foundation is a powder form, but it's more than just lightly dusting it all over your face and setting your makeup. It's actually covering it. It's not going to be full coverage. It's not going to cover a ton of pimples or whatever because it is a powder form. But if you don't have that much to cover, and or you want extra coverage, a powder foundation works really, really good too. Or you could just use that on like by itself or on top of makeup. So there is powder foundations. I don't know if they would consider this a powder foundation. I consider it a light powder foundation because it gives more coverage. So this is a loose powder, so it's not pressed, it's kind of messy. It comes with like a big puffed thing to use too, and this is from Covergirl, and it's the Professional Loose Powder in 105 Translucent Fair. And this gives a coverage to your face. I like to apply my powders with a fluffy brush, but you could also press this onto your skin and apply it, and it gives some color, so it is more covering. So I consider this a powder foundation, and it controls your shine because obviously it's a powder foundation. This powder that I mentioned before, I don't know if it's in the category of a setting powder. That's what most people go to the drugstore and buy these for, to set their makeup. It can be used as all powders can be used as a setting powder, like I said. Most setting powders though are very, very lightweight. Like even if they're a loose powder like this, they'll be transparent or translucent, which means they're white, and it may look a little scary. But when something is translucent, like you can buy any powders you want in a translucent form, that means it can show up on any skin tone, it can go on any skin tone, and it won't show up. And you can put it on anybody with any skin tone. It won't give any more color, it won't cover anything else, it'll just set like a powder. It won't add anything else onto your makeup. That's what a real setting powder does. Even if it's loose form, even if it's pressed form, a translucent powder is a setting powder. It's setting the makeup, controlling the shine. But this is just what I use as a setting powder, pressed powder foundation, whatever you want to call it. I really like both of these. So basically why I think powder is an essential, no matter what kind you get, no matter what type of skin you have, I really think when you're, going to the drugstore and picking out makeup for the first time, whether you wear foundation or concealer or whatever, if you're going to put anything on your face, like that's cream or liquid or anything, or if you just have oily skin, please buy a powder. Your makeup will look so much better. It will not crease under your eyes into like the laugh lines. It won't crease into your smile lines. It won't rub off pimples. It won't be all shiny like oily. Especially for me, I have an oily T-zone. I have oily whole face, but especially my nose and forehead area gets really, really shiny, especially during the summer. If you do have dry skin and you're scared that the powder will cling to dry patches, it depends on the powder you use, how heavy it is. But if you don't have to apply powder all over your face, if you don't need it, or if you're not wearing makeup all over your face, or if you have dry skin down here but you have an oily T-zone, you can just apply the powder where you need it. You can apply it on your T-zone. If you're applying concealer, I recommend always setting your under eyes. Do not set it with a thick powder though, because that could, cake up and look and crease and stuff. But wherever you need it, you can set it. You don't have to put it all over your face. I put it all over my face because I do have oily skin and I wear foundation all over my face and I don't want it coming off anywhere. It's going to set your makeup. It's going to make it last longer. I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys enjoyed. This one obviously wasn't as detailed because it's just about powders, but for those of you beginners or just learning and wanted to know what's the point of them, why do you use them, etc., all my other ones will be linked down below. The next one I'm going to be getting into is blush, so stay tuned for that, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you later.